Hi everyone! Thank you for joining our online service. My name is Chloe and I am the communications intern here in Roots. We are so happy that you are here with us online today. If you're new here, you came at the perfect time because we are starting a brand new series called More to the Story. This may feel like it'll get a little awkward, but trust me, it's going to be good. Now let's get started.
Hey guys, my name is Tyler and I'm excited to be starting a new series today called More to the Story. So when you look at broken things or things that look incomplete, there is more to the story. So let me start with talking about movies before I divulge what we are actually talking about. So I want you to raise your hand if any of these apply to you. And I know you're probably like, well, you can't see me, but guess what? Jesus can. So raise your hand with me for Marvel. Any of you like Marvel movies? What about scary movies? War movies? What about mystery? Any Disney people? Or maybe you're like me. I like what I like, and I like movies a lot. Now let's talk about movie trailers. And I know some of you love watching movie trailers, and I do too. I get excited when a new movie trailer gets put out on YouTube. And action movies with the epic cut to black and then bwah! And you know that random loud bass sound that all these movies use? No? Okay, well, you get what I mean. Then there are some raging one-liners in a funny movie. All this great stuff straight from the movie, made to make me want to watch the actual movie. Now, whether I have any intention of actually seeing the movie or not, I still love seeing a preview of it because it leaves me wondering. And here's what I know for a fact. There's always more to the story than what I see in the trailer. You see, it wouldn't make sense for those trailer editors to give away the whole story in a 2-minute preview. But also, I bet you've had this experience as well. There have been trailers that I've seen that made a movie seem like it was going to be the greatest, the funniest, or the scariest movie in human history. Then I watched the movie and it was like, meh. Like they literally showed the best parts of the movie in the trailer and the rest was just complete garbage. Oh, and there was still more to the story of that movie. It just wasn't great. And so for the next few weeks, we are going to be talking about things that really are similar to movie trailers. We're talking about parts of life that we all have an idea about, parts of life that you see in culture almost everywhere. And there's often more to the story than what we see in the previews, in both good and bad ways. And we all kind of know something, but there's always way more to the story. And we're going to start by talking about sex. Okay, I get it. Talking about sex in church can be a little weird until you think about the fact that it's talked about almost everywhere else. Singers sing about it and rappers rap about it. Netflix shows don't avoid it at all. It's everywhere on TikTok. Magazines at the grocery store talk about sex on the covers. Movies use it as a selling point. It's taught at school. It's joked about with friends. Some of you may wish your families would just stop trying to have that conversation. And some of you may be thinking, I already know what you're going to say. Even if you haven't been around church much, you've probably been around church people or even the Christian TikTok accounts who seem to only talk about sex. Enough to have an idea that God cares a lot about our sex lives. In fact, maybe you feel like God hates sex. That's the story. Or God's mad at sex, and that's the story. Or God only cares about virginity. End of story. And if that's true, it brings up questions like, is it bad that I'm thinking about it? Is it bad if I want to do it? Can I do everything but actual sex? I know people who've had sex and none of them died. Is it really that big of a deal? I've had sex, so does that mean I'm doomed forever? What if it wasn't my choice and someone else made the choice for me? What does God think about that? What am I supposed to do now? And I can't even get a guy or girl to be interested in me, so trust me, sex isn't a temptation for me. So can I just skip church for the next few weeks or watching church online for the next few weeks? And I get this is a loaded topic, and sometimes it can feel like God only cares about one thing or one act or one mistake. But as we get started, I want you to know that isn't an accurate picture. The truth is this: when it comes to God's plan for sex, there's more to the story. So here's what's amazing. We can actually find guidance for our very real questions today by looking at the wisdom of those who lived thousands of years ago. In fact, people back then were asking some of the very same questions that we are today. We're going to look at a letter the Apostle Paul wrote to the people of Corinth. Because of where it was located, people were often passing through Corinth on their way to make some money somewhere else. And Corinth was kind of known for being a place to party and misbehave before moving on. Even though these people lived 2,000 years ago, they don't sound all that ancient, because I think a lot of us know a lot of people who like to party. And some of the people living in Corinth also had questions about what it meant to follow Jesus. So Paul writes this letter that covers all sorts of topics, but he had a lot to say about the topic of sex. And it's the way that he starts this portion of this letter that I want us to think about today. So check it out in 1 Corinthians 6:12. It says, I have the right to do anything. Wow, that's where he starts. And he's actually quoting a common phrase that the Corinthian culture at that time said. And it was like ancient equivalent of, I do what I want. So Paul begins with the idea in mind. I have the right to do anything. But look at what he says next. This is in 1 Corinthians 6:12. It says, I have the right to do anything, you say, but not everything is beneficial. I have the right to do anything, but I will not be mastered by anything. So Paul speaks right into the Corinthian culture and into our world today, and basically says, look, I know it's popular to do whatever you feel like doing, but just because you can doesn't mean that you should. In a particular sexual culture, Paul reminds the Corinthians that just because you can do something doesn't mean it's the best thing for you to do. And the same thing is true about sex today. Some of our lives would be so much easier, so much less complicated, and so much less stressful if we just stopped asking, can I do this without getting in trouble? Or maybe we ask, can I do this without getting caught? Instead, what if we started asking, is this good for me? Is this the best thing for my life? In fact, learning to think about what's best over what's simply normal is part of becoming a mature person. But wait, there's more to the story. Whether you're sexually active, thinking about someone sexually, or consuming sexual content on a screen, there's almost always another person involved. So, you and I can't just think about ourselves when it comes to this topic. Yes, we should ask, is this best for me? But we may be able to talk ourselves into doing something that we think is right for us, even though it may be harmful for someone else. So if we really want to get this right, we should go even further. Instead of asking, is this the best for me? We should be asking, is this the best for we? Is this the best for me and the other person? This way of thinking isn't optional for those of us who follow Jesus. In fact, when asked what's most important, this was part of his answer. And this is Matthew 22, verse 29. Jesus says, love your neighbor as yourself. And something might feel good for the moment, but if it's not good for your future or the future of the person that you're doing it with, it's out. You shouldn't be doing it. If something is fine for you, but you don't know or can't know if it's harming another person, it's going across the line. You see, Jesus was so clear about what God is like. How you treat people and how they treat you is a big deal to him. He doesn't hate sex and he doesn't want to keep you from it. He wants you to become the kind of person who loves him and looks out for other people, their best interests because of him. And here's what's crazy. Your dating life and your relationships will be better because of it. How do I know? Because it's what everybody wants. We all want to be in the kind of relationship where each person looks out for the other person's best interest. We all want mutual love and respect with someone we can trust and who have our back. We all want the kinds of friends and boyfriends and girlfriends who will look out for our future, even if we're not doing the best job of looking out for ourselves. We all want people around us to make us better people. This is what we set ourselves up for when we follow the instruction and wisdom of Paul. Wisdom that's in alignment with the way of life Jesus says is best. But wanting to live life like this and actually living this way are two very different things. And I realize that there are all kinds of feelings and desires that factor in. In fact, some of you may have acted upon those desires and feelings in the past, and maybe some of you wish that you could have made that choice for yourself, but somebody else acted on their impulses and you were the victim of that. And if that's you, I'm so sorry. It's not your fault. But no matter what your experience, I want you to know that no one's past actions, yours or someone else's, have to determine your next actions. And here's why. As followers of Jesus, we can and should become people of sexual integrity. And I get that sexual integrity isn't a super common term. What that means is someone who is trustworthy, honest, and looks out for others. They're the kind of person whose beliefs and words line up with their actions. They follow through with what they say. And just like you can be a person of integrity in your academics and in your friendships, you can and should have integrity in your sex life, no matter your past experiences. Sexual integrity is about more than just saving sex until marriage or feeling guilty for not waiting. It's choosing to honor God and others in how you think about, treat, and value the people that you date. So how do you become a person of sexual integrity? Integrity is all about the person that you want to be. You can always choose to live with sexual integrity starting right now. Nothing that you've done and nothing that you've done that have been done to you can take that away. And you may be thinking, sexual integrity sounds nice, but can you just tell me where the line is? Like, what's okay and what's not okay? And there's no shortage of people out there who will tell you or decide for you, but I want you to think for yourself. I want you to ask questions. Wrestle with what is true. Listen to older and wiser people who you trust, and then decide for yourself. Not just a decision about what you will and won't do moving forward, because that's what you feel, but a decision about the kind of person that you want to be. If you want to be a person of sexual integrity, then you set those boundaries pretty conservative so that you can honor and respect others and you can honor and respect yourself. So why does sexual integrity matter? Because sex carries power behind it. Sex binds you together with someone that only marriage has the strength to withhold that power. So whether you have had a sexual encounter with encounter yourself, or you've dabbled with some sort of sexual experience, you can still have sexual integrity now and honor yourself, honor others, and most importantly, honor God with your life and with your sexual life. So a few steps that I believe that you can take, all right? The first one, number one, talk to God about who you really want to be. Invite him into the story of your life, your whole life, even your sex life. You may have never done that before, but just know that he cares. It might seem awkward at first, but he loves you and wants to show you how to experience life the way it's meant to be. And I believe that when you talk, he listens. And when you listen, he'll lead you to what you should do and what's best. Even if you're new to this whole church thing or exploring faith, try this. I mean, what do you have to lose? If he really does lead you to what's best for your sex life, isn't that what you really want anyways? And what I've learned over the years is that what God wants is usually something along the lines of building others up and having integrity. If you feel like God is saying, go after what you feel, do what you want, that's probably not God speaking. God wants what's best for you in the long run, not what would feel best in the moment. So number two, talk to someone about how you plan to become that person. Bring it up with a trusted adult or your life group leader. Listen, I get that sounds weird talking about sex with someone else, but trust me, you won't freak them out because they'll be proud of you for being honest and vulnerable. And if you feel like you're skipping this step because you have to hide the choices that you're making, that's not integrity. Integrity is rarely something that you feel that you need to hide. So the more openly that you talk about how you're feeling, what you're struggling with, and how you plan to become that person that you really want to be, the more you'll stay focused on becoming a person of integrity in all areas of life. And I get that this is complicated, and it's not the kind of thing that you want to talk about with just anybody. And that's why we have our life groups. We want every one of you to have a group of people that you can figure out life with. Even when the conversations are personal and maybe a little awkward at times. And we want you to have a leader that you trust that you can talk to about anything. Your life group leader is that kind of person. And if you don't feel comfortable talking in front of your whole group, like we get it. I get that. It can be uncomfortable. But you can ask your life group leader to talk one-on-one in private and talk about it. And they'll totally get it and they'll understand. Imagine if accepting this invitation to live a life of sexual integrity led you to a life that's better than what you can imagine right now. If you chose this way of life, you might just find that when it comes to God's plan for sex, there really is more to the story. So let me pray. Father, I just thank you so much for your goodness. And God, sometimes when we get so confused on what is right, what is wrong, God, I pray that you give us clarity. I pray that we can listen to you to know what it looks like for us to live with sexual integrity. Whether it comes to sexual integrity in a dating life, whether it comes to sexual integrity with just friends and our conversations that we have with them, or even personally with things that we're even looking at on the screen, Lord. Father, I just pray that you start to give us wisdom to know how we should live. We love you, Jesus, and we thank you for your goodness. Even when we mess up, that you still bring us back in. You can make us new, and you can make us people of integrity. We love you, Jesus. Pray this in your name. Amen. Thanks, guys. Next week, we have another great message with this whole More to the Story series. So I will see you guys soon.
Thanks, Tyler. The world definitely has a lot to say about sex, but I hope that this helped you learn a little bit more about what God thinks of it. And I hope you know that you can start living with sexual integrity right here, right now, no matter what your past looks like. Now, please take a moment to fill out the Connect card linked in the description. This way we can stay connected with you guys and pray for you throughout the week. If you want to take any next steps, you can fill it out there as well, and we will contact you during the week. You can also follow us on Instagram and TikTok, which are linked in the description as well. I hope you have a great rest of your week. Bye!